everybody. Hi, thanks for joining us. Thanks for joining us today for Blakely and Crick Knitters Presents Live from the Knitting Wars. Our group is a little bit smaller today. We got a few people who are going to pop in, hopefully. But thanks for joining us. I'm Deplorable Knitter. We are joined by Neil from Black Magazine.
Hello.
Hi, Neil.
How's everyone doing?
What's up?
Sorry, I just said, how's everyone doing? I spoke too soon.
No, it's all good. And then we've got Ann Pinkova, who is the fabulous, lovely co-host of Blakely and Crick Knitters. And this is her last episode from Romania, so next time you see her, she probably won't be in the dark, we hope.
Probably
and
not.
then and then we have Tina. Hi, Tina.
Hi.
She has yarn and fiber, as her name suggests. So what's everybody got going on?
Well, I went to a haunted cemetery this weekend.
What? Okay.
So that was pretty cool. I went to go meet my boyfriend's mom and hang out.
Is she dead or alive?
She's alive. She wasn't at the cemetery. That was something different.
You're like, ah.
She's not the reason the cemetery is haunted.
Well, that's good. It might be bad for you if she was. So.
Yeah, especially if she didn't like me.
The cemetery from 3 to 4 p.m. We gotta wait in visiting hours. The next time slot is another guy. It's every other week. You know, it's hard to get everyone in.
But it was really nice to get out of the city, and we went on a Walmart date, which was, for people who have Walmarts, I know they hate their Walmarts and they hate going, and you could tell by we're in there and we're all excited. I'm like, $10 leggings, oh my god, and they're so soft and they're Halloween print and this, that, and the other thing, and you see people just walking into Walmart with their heads down and their hoods up, and they're just like, oh, I'm at fucking Walmart on 10 o'clock on a Saturday night or whatever. It's like, oh man. But
so you were like my kids when I take them to Walmart with me, and they get all super like, can we get a toy? Can we get candy? Can we get? And I'm like, no, stop looking.
Oh my god.
Is Walmart like a huge supermarket? Is it like a Costco?
Costco you have to buy everything in bulk, but Walmart is like.
So that would be like our Sainsbury's or Tesco then. I don't know if you've ever been.
Probably, but most of it isn't groceries. Like there's a grocery section, and it's a sizable grocery section, but there's clothing.
They have everything. You can go there and you can get your pet food and your potting soil and your toys and your clothes and your food, and you're good forever.
Whoa.
And your car tires.
Yeah, car tires. They have a garage. Yep. Wow. Yeah, so
it's pretty amazing. So we went to the haunted cemetery. We didn't see any ghosts, but something was going on there, because there's this little stone wall that's maybe 2 feet high. And as soon as you step through the little opening, I swear that cemetery it's like walking into a meat locker. It's like, you get out of the car and everything is normal, and it's a hot summer night, whatever. The second you walk through that gate, you're like, whoa, it's really cold all of a sudden. Like, what the hell's going on here? It was the strangest thing, but the stars were beautiful. The moon was beautiful. It was nice to get out of the city for a while, for sure.
That's
but we
cool.
didn't see most.
Well, that's really romantic. I'll have to remember to take someone to a graveyard one day.
Well, I had to keep telling my boyfriend, no, you can't kiss me. That's disrespectful to the dead. What are you doing? We're not kissing in a cemetery. Stop it. We're not like high school goth kids or something, okay? Be respectful.
We are respectable people having a respectable haunted cemetery date. You can kiss me afterwards.
Yes, absolutely. We're grown-ups. And also, this cemetery did.
Yeah, also, we both need to keep our eyes open.
Yes. Yeah, but the cemetery dates back to the Revolutionary War. So, it's a really old cemetery. So, not as old as the cemeteries in England, I'm sure.
I was just going to say, what, 200 years, 300 years?
Yeah.
It's a baby cemetery compared to yours. It was just made yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, hi, Ellen.
Yeah, she got her yarn. I brought my yarn to show, too. Because I'm so excited. My yarn that identifies as school supplies that was also a prize. So no matter what happened or who opened it, it was fine.
Yes.
So that's exciting. Did anybody else have an exciting weekend? I have done nothing but work and entertain. Yeah, what'd you do?
Well, I got a phone call at lunchtime from one of my friends, and she said, "Are you dressed?" And I said, "No," because it's been really hot. So I was just sat there, in my underwear. Don't picture that in your head. And she said, "Oh, I'm at a place called Salford Quays, which is just up the road. And there's a restaurant opening on Friday." And she said, "They're giving free meals now. If you get over here by 2:00, you can have a free meal." So I got over there, and we had this amazing meal with cocktails, and so I had 3 cocktails. And what they were doing was training the staff on how to do customer service and how to cook everything. So the customer service was unbelievable. It was like I was the king. You know what I mean? I've never ever been treated so well by people before. And we were there for about 3 hours. And it turned out my friend, she works in a school, and 2 of the people that worked there were ex-students when they were at elementary school. So they remembered her. So then they even treated us better, so it was lovely. Right. I mean, it doesn't sound that great to you, like going for a meal, but, when you're my age, going for a meal is a big deal.
It was an awesome day.
Oh, sorry, what was that, Tina?
Oh, I said it was free too, though.
Yeah, free.
Awesome. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. My dad sells beer, and it doesn't happen anymore. But I remember as a kid going to restaurants, and they would often do that, and they would invite people like the beer salesman and the other vendors, so that the staff could get used to serving the menu. And we had some of the most fun, especially when I was a kid. My parents couldn't take us out, so it was like a big deal. It was a lot of fun. I remember. Yeah, I would be dude, in this economy, I'd be stoked to get a free meal anyway. For real.
Oh, we got one round of cocktails for free as well. So
nice.
we had to buy the other 2 that we had, but so it wasn't complete.
No.
Cool.
Sounds great.
Oh, and then I had a hack scare. So I don't think I have been hacked, but I thought my Instagram had gone because I got a very strange message, and I clicked on a link that I shouldn't have clicked on. And straight away I thought, and then I ended up getting locked out of my Instagram for about an hour. But it turns out that was just a fluke. So
well, that's good.
Yeah, but when you panic, I was panicking a little bit, and I've got a really good friend who's an IT expert, and he was saying, don't worry about it. It doesn't happen like that, And I was like, oh no, they're going to have everything. They're going to have all my private conversations, You don't understand. The knitters are evil.
And Tina's like, oh no.
So I think everything's fine. So panic over.
Well, that's good.
Well, I hope. Anyway, I hope everything's all right.
Yeah, so if anybody got any weird messages from Neil, just, That
means I can send some now, doesn't it? And I've got a get out of jail card.
Get out of jail free card.
Wombat has just said, if I had 3 cocktails, I'd be asleep under the table. Well, yeah, I do feel like that, actually. So if I do disappear in a bit, you know why.
Like, that's funny. Where the real rants come out.
Yeah, you thought I was bad sober. Oof.
I feel like I want to go to sleep under the table right now, but we started school yesterday. So I think that's why I feel that way, because it's just as hard for mommy getting back into the school year as it is for the kids, let me tell you. But
oh, what's she called? The dog? I keep forgetting.
Bella.
Bella, that's it. Yeah.
Hi, Bella.
Sweet.
Look at Bella.
Sorry, Bella has actually put on a little weight, so she's a chunker now.
Is that your fault?
Probably.
Apparently, another lady came in. She's like, "Oh, she's gained weight." I'm like, "I swear, I have not fed her more. She does not get any more food. I haven't fed her any table scraps." And she's like, "No, it's good. She was always super thin. It's good that she's put on weight." I'm like,
well, don't they have kids?
Yep.
So probably she's not getting maybe as much of the running around as she does when the kids are home either.
Right. She doesn't have little kids to pull her ears with me.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was really happy.
Nobody's pulling her tail or being goofy or anything like that.
Getting her all riled up.
Exactly.
So hopefully that's good for her, and it's okay. We can be fat doggos together, right, honey? No, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, you talk.
No, I was going to say, talking about rambling conversations. So this week I went into Timisoara, the city, and went to Liberty Square, which I put some pictures on Instagram of it before, but we kind of went in again because I had to buy all of my tourist trinkets. So we're walking around, and it was one of those things where, so as you can probably tell from podcasting, I have the train doesn't stop. Like I could not physically stop myself from talking. And the lady I was with was like, oh yeah, this is nice. And she's being very nice and polite and quiet. And I'm like, I have a ramble where so we walked into this bookstore, and it is the most just beautiful bookstore. Like the bricks are arched in these little domes in these rooms that go around a circle. And so there's this lovely, it's a classic literature section, and these are the Romanian authors sections. And this is the kids' room, and the kids' room is massive, and there's all sorts of things. But I'm walking through, and it's like, and first room, and it's a row of philosophy books. I'm like, oh, wow, it's Jordan Peterson's book in Romanian. So I'm chatting with her about Jordan Peterson. And then we go into the next room, and it's a children's book. And it's like, wow, look. It's Harry Potter. I know a lady who likes to collect the editions from all across the world, and she's just like smiling and nodding. And then we go around. It's like, oh yeah, this is nice. And she's like, oh, my grandkids would like this. Oh, this is cool. And then like, well, look, this is the comic book and manga section. This is weird because this is only a tiny shelf. In America, it would be massive. And she's just smiling and nodding. And I'm just like, I cannot physically stop myself right now. I'm going, and I cannot.
Well, does she speak English? Were you just talking and she didn't even understand what you were saying?
She speaks total English, though. Yeah, there was another instance this week where talking with two ladies, they both spoke English, but one was American and one was Romanian. And me and the American gal were talking politics back and forth, a million miles an hour, and the Romanian lady was like,
Oh.
And I felt so bad. Anyways, it was fun.
Wow.
It was fun. It was a good day. Second time visiting, like I said, Liberty Square, which is where the anti-communist revolution started in Romania. And the massive building that still has bullet holes from when they opened fire on the crowd. And they're not sure how to fix up the building now because they want to keep the bullet holes, but still the brick itself is crumbling, so they're not sure. And there's like a McDonald's on the first floor. And
kind of spoils it a little bit, doesn't it? That.
Yeah, well, that's a lot of places I'm looking up and like, wow, how incredible. And it's, a little fast food hero joint in the basement. Food's good, but, what else can you do? And this is ye old Romanian Starbucks.
A tradition since 1672.
Right.
The vampire Starbucks.
Yes.
Have you met any vampires yet?
I have not met a single vampire that I know of.
Yeah.
Met plenty of gypsies, though. They're fun.
I like that you know of. Like you might have come across one that you didn't know was a vampire. Like
certainly they wouldn't announce it.
Until it was too late.
Right.
Oh, by the way, yeah, it might have seemed weird that I just bit your neck, but I'm a vampire, and so are you. So have fun with that.
Have you ever watched What We Do in the Shadows?
I haven't.
No.
Nope.
I heard it's really funny, though.
Yeah, if you can get it, watch it. It is quite good. I say quite good just in case you don't think it's that good. So I can save my reputation. No, I think.
I think you asked me about that before. You were trying to get me to watch it, or you were going to make a joke, and you're like, never mind, you won't get it.
Oh, speaking of things, I watched The Princess Bride.
Yes. What do you think of that?
Well, I had to pay £1.99 to hire it for the weekend.
Oh, so you want it back then? feel like.
Yeah, you all owe me £1.99. No,
We'll start a GoFundMe.
It's like, oh, I it's like I 20 pence of that. That's me, and then that's another.
well, it was good. Well, it was good. It was bad in a good way. You know,
Right.
it's like one of them so daft that it's good. But also, a lot of things have fallen into place that over the years I didn't know were from that film. And suddenly it's like, I get that now. Like, even Deadpool. I didn't know Deadpool 2, where they do the Once Upon a Time one. Have you seen it?
Mhm.
It's where he kidnaps Fred Savage as an adult and he's in the bed. And I didn't know why he's reading this story to Fred Savage in the bed. I just thought it was funny because it is funny. And then all of a sudden I see this film. It's like, now it makes sense. I get it. I see why. But also, I couldn't believe how many big names were in it. Like Robin, whatever her name is. I forget her name now. She's a
Robin Wright Penn.
Yeah, Robert Wright, yeah. And Robin Wright, I should say. And also the Peter Cook. He was the priest. And, I tell you what it reminded me of. Shrek.
Okay.
So Shrek was like the giant. And then you had the guy, I've forgotten his name now, Mandy Patinkin, is it? I can't think of his name. He's
And
like
Nico Montoya.
Yes, he's like Puss in Boots, isn't he? The cat. I don't know who the donkey might have been, but I just get.
Yeah, but it's like, I mean, I wouldn't say that they're not the same genre, but I mean, like Shrek and Princess Bride, there's like a divide, like.
Yeah.
Well, watch it again and think Shrek, and I bet you'll see little bits because I think they probably modelled Shrek on it a little bit.
It's possible, but for anybody watching that doesn't know, I don't even know how it started, but we're in a group chat for this channel, so we can like coordinate and plan who's coming and things. And we got on Princess Bride, and then we were telling Neil he has to watch it. I know Tina also hasn't seen it, and I noticed that she's very quiet right now.
I can't knit and talk at the same time.
Well,
But
Princess Bride is an absolute classic, and you should watch it, Tina. And
It's worth it for the fight scene. There's a sword fight, which was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Not to knock Shrek, but it's better than Shrek, I would say.
But in a
I
bad
would say
way.
so too.
It's like really bad, but so bad it's good.
So good. It's so good. And Neil wouldn't watch it because
Sorry.
no, but Neil's biggest thing about not watching it was that it had princess and bride in the title, so therefore it was nothing that he was interested in.
It was
And exactly. It's inconceivable that you would make that assumption.
Speaking of, I don't know if I mentioned it here, but okay, so ages ago, DK told me that I had to watch Clueless, and that I've never seen Clueless, that I have to see it. Okay, and I've seen basically every version of Emma there is, except for the high school version. So I'm like, okay, sure. So the other night, it was 2 separate nights close to each other. I sat down and I watched Highlander, the first one with Sean Connery, and then I watched Clueless because they were both movies that I hadn't seen before, and you know that they're classics. I think Highlander is more of a chick movie than Clueless is.
How dare you?
No.
Oh.
Think of this as perfect female insert fantasy. All right, so there is this totally hot, immortal Scottish dude who's really into you, and you are both a pathologist and a metallologist. For some reason, you've published a book, but you don't look like you're over 30. And then there's like these hot sword dudes everywhere, and that's cool. Like, what kind of a plot line is this? I actually looked and saw if a woman wrote it. She didn't, unless it was under a male title.
Well,
Like,
just to show how old I am, I saw that in the cinema when it was first released and absolutely loved it.
I have no idea what that movie is.
It was a good time.
Oh, it's so dated now because the theme tune is by Queen, isn't it? The theme all the way through.
Yeah, which I didn't know. Like it starts out and it's like music by Queen. I'm like, what? So
and the thing, even back then when I watched it, the one thing that was bad was the accents, because you've got a Scottish actor playing a Spaniard, and then you've got is he from Sweden? I forget the Highlander where he's from. Lambert, is it Christopher Lambert? Is he called? So he's either Swedish or from the Netherlands, and he's pretending to be Scottish. So all the accents are completely wrong, and he keeps saying, "Oh, Heather, I miss you, Heather," and like no Scottish person speaks like that.
But anyways, sorry, not to totally knock Clueless. I would say that I paused it in the middle when I was debating whether or not to finish it, but Paul Rudd wasn't bad in the end. It was okay.
Paul Rudd is fantastic in that movie. But okay, so Anne, you have to take into consideration that Clueless came out when I was about a freshman.
Right.
And so therefore I watched it when I was, 14, and I was like, oh my God, this movie is amazing. And I used to watch it all the time. I love it. I haven't seen it in so long. So, for me, it might just be that nostalgia factor where, like, I just remember, like, in high school, it was a great movie. I loved it. I had no idea it was based on Emma. I didn't care because I liked the movie. So,
I don't think I've seen it. I don't think.
It's a great movie. But then again, that might just be my nostalgia talking. So, I don't know.
Yeah, they're never quite as good when you watch them again, are they?
No, but that's okay. I mean, that's all right. There's some things I've watched with my kids that have held up, and I'm, like, happy about that. But,
Oh, Kate Davey just said, no, Clueless totally holds up.
Oh, good. I have to watch it again. I don't think I can watch it with my kids yet, though. There's a ring tail.
Whoa.
That one does not want to be on screen. They're feeling camera shy today.
Whoops, he hates being picked up.
That's so funny.
Well, I had to mute my camera before for a minute because somebody was screaming in the bathtub because she wasn't getting attention. So the logical thing to do is just just freak out in the bathtub.
Clarify. I think you need to clarify who is screaming in the bathroom. This is very worrying.
I too, when I want attention, just lay in my bathtub.
Correct. And scream, because that obviously makes sense. Oh my gosh. Chicken Lady's here.
Hi.
Hi.
Sorry.
Oh, you missed the Princess
Yeah,
Bride.
he finally watched Princess Bride.
Neil says that the Princess Bride is like Shrek. What do you say to this blasphemy?
Not
You
at
just
all.
went right in there, didn't you, Al?
Carrie Elwes looks nothing like Shrek at all.
Well, what I actually said was it was so,
No, that's
so
what she
bad,
said.
it was good.
Oh, see, Kate Davey and I are apparently BFFs. 10 Things I Hate About You, she's all that. Yes, I am with you. Those were fantastic movies. We must be of the same generation. But
We were talking about Highlander, Lynn, so I presume you watched it in the day as well as me.
There can only be one.
That's the one, yeah.
I didn't watch the series. I just watched the movie. Yeah.
Yeah, if anybody watches it, do not watch the second film. It just spoils everything. It's rubbish.
It's rubbish. So how is everybody? Hi, Tina. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, finally, now that I'm awake and I pay attention to stuff and,
I don't think you two had been on together before.
We would have been
Nope.
if I hadn't slept through the first episode. Dipshit
Oh, wow.
over here.
so
Do you buy each other's yarn?
I actually just bought some of hers.
I've often wondered this. If you're a yarn dyer, do you buy other people's yarn?
A lot of the time I really, really want to. And then I hold myself back because I look at my yarn stash and I'm like, girlfriend, really? You are going to buy yarn? Oh, that is fucking rich. But then I'm like, yeah, but I want to support fellow yarn dyers. And, they're, all hand-dyed yarn is works of art. And, they have different works of art than my works of art. And I want to support that. And I want to, work with them. And so then, ultimately that wins out in the end. So it might take me like a couple of years to cave in, but I will eventually, always.
I know Lynn buys other people's yarn.
Oh.
Right? Oh, she's gone.
She's
Apparently, she doesn't want to talk to you about buying other people's yarn.
It's not really like Shrek. I didn't mean to offend you.
Everybody just froze for a minute.
Oh, sorry.
So we just got home, and I think that everybody in the house is on the internet. So sorry, I have not bought any of Tina's yarn yet. So
we need to get Lynn to do a speed test.
no, we don't.
Yes, we do.
No,
Neil even made a leaderboard.
I saw the leaderboard, and I saw that my name was left off, and that's great.
Hey,
I didn't know you were going to be on this week, you see. That's why I didn't put you on.
you're on. Come
That's
on,
fine.
play along, Lynn.
Just remember that Carrie was 13 stitches in a minute, so I'm sure you can do better than that.
I might do, so I made socks. I made socks for my husband. He has huge feet.
That's
you know what
true
they say
love.
about I know. You know what they say about big socks or big feet. Big socks. So I put them on him and they were too small. So I had to rip them back. I ripped the toe off. The toe
To make them bigger. Oh.
Yeah, to make them longer. His foot is 12 inches long.
Oh my God.
Okay,
No.
so I'm not implying anything about your husband, but I was just listening to a true crime podcast before I got on, and they were saying that they found Yeti footprints that were 13 inches long.
Wow.
So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, Lynn.
I've never seen Yeti and my husband in the same room. So who knows?
Possibility.
Who knows? Could be a possibility. Yeah.
Well, I just laughed when they said that because I'm like, 13 inches, it's big, but it's not that big. I mean, if you're talking about the abominable snowman, you'd think it would be bigger than 13 inches, right? Like, that's not... Whatever.
Trying to see if I've got
Oh,
a tape
that's
measure
pretty
somewhere.
You want to see how big your feet are now?
Yep, that's pretty big. So our daughter, when she was born, she was 12 inches long because she was a preemie.
Oh, my.
So, yeah. So she was 12 inches long from head to toe.
Head to toe? That's tiny. How early was she?
Hang on. She was a 26-weeker. She was 14 weeks early.
Wow.
She weighed 1 pound, 1 ounce.
Oh, my gosh.
1430 grams for those of you in the UK.
I'm still
Yeah.
in the old way of weighing, so I still do pounds and ounces and stones.
Okay, good for you.
Yeah. I have no idea how much
Human measurement.
using the new way.
Imperial measurements are what took us to the moon.
Well, if you think about it, stones make so much sense. Anybody who's ever been on a diet, you've got a milestone when you've lost a stone. But when did you say, oh, you've lost 14 pounds? It doesn't mean anything, does it? Or whatever it is in kilograms. I don't even know.
I have to say that stone is one that still hasn't, that never came to America. We don't.
Oh,
use
you
that
don't
one.
do stones?
We don't
No.
use stone. We do
Oh, God, is that
pounds.
even older then? I'm still in the dark ages then, aren't I?
Now you are.
You can have your weird measurement. That's okay.
So a
doesn't
stone
make me
is
any
14
thinner.
pounds?
I always get mixed up. It's either 16 pounds or 14. Well, the other one is there's
Okay.
16. No, it's 14. 14 pounds to a stone. And there are 16 ounces to a pound, which is why I get confused.
Yes.
Right.
So our daughter weighed 17 ounces at birth.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've sent out packages that weigh more than that. That's amazing.
Exactly.
Well, that links into that story that I shared, Deplorable, about the old lady. It's still just a silly story. And she's, a couple of days ago, I saw it in the news, a woman who's just turned 100. So she's got her letter from the Queen, because if you get to 100 years old, you get a letter from the Queen, congratulating you, I think. But that's all her life. She's knitted clothes for premature babies, and I just thought it was quite sweet that she still does it, I think. So I don't know, if you click on it, Deplorable, it'll come on the screen if anyone wants to just see.
Yep. now I understand why you're telling me, because I'm like, I didn't see that article.
Well, that's very nice, but why does it mean
That's it.
sugar?
Oh, no, it's not that one. Oh, sorry.
Oh, man.
I'm rubbish. Let me see if I can figure it out.
Blame it on the cocktails. It's the cocktails.
Try it again. See, it might work this time.
Okay, let's. I don't know what I'm doing.
Well, that's it. Yeah, there we go. So she raised a lot of money for premature babies, and she's reached 100. I just thought it was quite sweet. And normally we're always sharing the horror stories in knitting, aren't we? So I thought this was quite a nice one.
That's very sweet.
Yeah.
That is sweet. Speaking of name for premature babies, have any of you guys gotten anything done for the Let 'em Live make along yet? I have. I keep forgetting.
Here, I actually have some to show. So I didn't
Oh,
actually
cool.
bring them over there. I mean, they're in a stack in the other room. But I made 7 of these little bad boys.
Oh, that's so cute.
Those
Cute.
are so dang cute.
Well, okay, so
cute.
here's the and struggle, which I've shared before. So I
It's always a struggle with Anne.
there it is. So so want to make these lovely little welcome baby socks, but also I want to make little tiny Christmas stockings for favors for Christmas. And then I was like, Anne, you're being awful and selfish. Make some stuff for some babies. But then I used this wacky yarn, so it didn't look as if they were actually a pair, like they were 2 different colors, like when I was knitting them, because the repeats were so different. And I'm like, some young mother is going to be like, wow, I'm really struggling here, and this lovely organization, Let Them Live, by the way, if you want to get on the this lovely organization gave me these socks, and they look like vomit. So I did not do that. So I had this black and white yarn, and these were really fun to do because there was enough like challenge in getting them exactly the same between, like the repeats of black and white were really consistent. So I had 2 separate balls, and I could sit there and I could, make every little stripy sock. So I ended up taking a bit of yarn and tying them all together because they're not pairs with each other. I did 2 at a time, and those are a pair, but this pair and this pair would be totally weird if they were mixed. Anyways,
There's an emergency.
There's an emergency. So to finish off my lame story, so I made a lot of these. I loved them. I used every bit of this yarn I could. But then when I went back to do the Christmas stockings thing, I loved Anna's pattern so much that I did the same thing, but with the other weird yarn. So now I'm conflicted because these are really, really pretty dang adorable, but these 2 do make a pretty good pair. So I might need to give them to the knit along giveaway. But I might have to not be selfish, but they're just so much fun to make, and they're so quick too. That
I should try them.
Yeah, I've still got to knit those. I promised I would, and I haven't done it yet, but I will.
Right. That, like I said, I think it was a yarn issue when I initially tried, this doesn't work out, but finding the right yarn and making them happen, and now I'm knitting them forever, and I have a real problem. And I'll come to therapy in a couple of weeks. But as long as the make-along goes, therapy doesn't matter. It's positive.
That is correct. I have 2 little sweaters knit, but they're downstairs. Sorry.
No.
I've not knitted anything. It's been too hot. I mean,
I
I know it's
haven't
been
knit
hot to where
anything
you are, but for us, it's just been unbearable, because we're not used to it. So I've not even picked anything up to do with the yarn, really. So all I've been doing is buying books.
Saw of you, Neil, the last picture I saw of you, you were drinking.
Yeah, and I have to say, the other week, I don't drink. Yes, I was on the cocktails today. I was talking about that earlier.
I haven't knit anything for the make along because I'm sure that this is a very lovely family tradition for someone, but these stockings are not my family tradition, and I don't enjoy making them.
It's so cute, though. I love it.
Yeah.
You're doing a wonderful job.
Well, this is actually, so my mom has the one that I was working on because I read the foot shaping directions and I'm like, I don't understand what any of this means. So she's knitting from here, the heel turn and stuff for me. And I'm weaving in her ends because that's how we work together. But look at how pretty her intarsia is. Like it's practically, it's ridiculously nice, right?
Wow.
So I'm weaving in the ends and I'm going to block it and we have to put names on it and deliver them tomorrow. And then I can think about something else. But I swear lately it's just been one thing after another. So
It's going to feel so good to get rid of those, huh?
oh my gosh. And every year we're like, do we want to make these again? And then this year she contacts us and she's like, we need 2. We're having 2 babies. And I'm like, dang, freaking people keep having babies. Like,
There's a pill for that.
and I can't
Let's
tell
not
you how
go
much
there.
of these we've made. I know, right? But okay, I act like I've made them all. This is my first year knitting any because I had to learn how to do intarsia because I'm not Anne. So
I've never
My
done
mom has-
intarsia.
my mom has knit them all and she's good at it. Whereas me, I'm like this. The whole time I'm knitting it, I'm like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever done. And I'm like, I hope I'm not giving bad vibes to these poor little babies.
Are they?
So
Are
much
you
fun
getting paid
stuff
for
with
these?
Yeah, not enough.
Oh, of course not.
Never enough. But no, it's okay. I just So anyway, I haven't knit for the make along yet. But I will. Maybe I'll try the baby socks so that I can understand heel shaping better because I read it and I feel like they're speaking gibberish to me. It doesn't make like I read the instructions and I'm like, but that doesn't make any sense. Like why am I know it makes sense, but I just don't. It's not me.
Yeah, until you actually sit and do it, it doesn't make. Yeah, when you read it, it doesn't make sense, does it? But the moment
Yeah.
you've done, you've done socks though, haven't you? Past.
I've done them, but I think different patterns are written differently. And like this pattern is a really poorly written pattern anyway because you knit to here where this little red triangle is, and the lady's like, if you're supposed to end on where you're going to knit across, but if you don't, just attach white and knit across. And I'm like, why would you attach white? Why would you put a white stripe? Like that's how this pattern's written. So I'm like, I called my mom and I'm like, I need help. I have no idea what this means. I don't know.
She's trying to speak to me.
Why would we put white yarn in the middle of the stocking? Does she even proofread this before she like let people buy it? Like terrible. So anyway, that's my story.
Well, I knitted a pair of demo socks because I want to do sock kits for Carrie's colorway.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So,
Wait, you're doing a Carrie colorway too?
Oh, I already did. Yeah, it's called Not Today, Joy Eater. This is part of the Yarn
funny.
Against Fuckery collection.
Oh, that's right. Okay. Oh,
But
very nice.
Oh, they're so fun though.
Hey!
Hi.
Hello.
So sorry I'm late. I've got my days wrong. I had you in my head for tomorrow. But it's okay. And then just when I realised and I had the great panic, my son comes to me because it's for anyone that doesn't know, it's really early in the morning here. And he says, oh, Mum, I was getting the cat food out of the fridge. He's a teenager. I was getting the cat food out of the fridge. And I knocked over the rice and it's all over the floor. And I came out and there was like 4 cups of cooked rice all over the kitchen floor. So I had to clean those up. It's 6:05 a.m. It's 6:05 a.m.
You haven't trained him very well, when have you?
That's crazy.
He's a teenager. You remember what teenage boy was like? Come on, I know.
Oh, I'd have just gone out. I wouldn't have even said anything to my mum.
No, true. This is the oldest son. If it were the youngest son, he would have actually attempted to have cleaned it up and then thought he'd done a good job and then just left and gone, bye, Mum, I'll see you later. And I would have walked out to carnage. Yeah. So sorry. I'm here now in bed
it's okay.
complete with bed hair, but I've bought,
Excellent. Before we make you knit, and Lynn's got to knit too, I just wanted to point out that my mom is in the chat, and she has said that I had to learn intarsia because she's going to be dead someday. So there you go. That's why I had to make these freaking stockings.
Don't worry, Leslie. We'll take her to that graveyard that Tina went to, and you can.
Yeah, we'll go to Tina's haunted graveyard.
Yeah, Mom, we'll put you in the haunted graveyard, and then I can just come there when I need help. Okay?
Like, Mother, these snowmen aren't straight, Mother. I can't get them. I don't.
Will I have to walk through the cold fog to get to her, Tina?
Probably, yeah. I don't
It's
know
in the
how
same
it works.
state, though, isn't it? So it's in New York, isn't it?
No, the graveyard was up in Connecticut. It's called the
Yeah.
Green Lady Cemetery. If anybody wants to look it up, it's famous for being haunted.
That's cool. But and also there's the fact that Tina lives way down here in New York City, and I live way up here in Western New York, and it's totally like 6 or 7 hours away from each other. So I'm not gonna go visit. We'll have to find a haunted cemetery closer to my house so that I can visit my mom there.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm sure they're all over the place.
I'm sure. So anyway,
What's the news from New Zealand?
Oh, what's the news from New Zealand? Oh, actually, no. We've well, other than the fact that politically things are an absolute dog's breakfast here, but that's okay. The people are now starting to wake up, which is great, and the polls and approval ratings here are even worse than Biden's for Jacinda, so that's awesome.
Wow, that's an accomplishment.
Biden's are pretty bad.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Yes, she. Yeah, look, the latest the polls, which was just in the last week or so, have shown that if the country was to go to an election tomorrow, the current government wouldn't get in, and that's all the main polling companies have said that, including the government's own polling companies. So that's. Yeah, the opposition has finally remembered what they're there for and are opposing, which is nice. And we have MMP here, mixed member proportional, and that is a system that we voted in. Oh gosh, it would be 30 years ago now. Yeah, it was, because it was right when I first started voting. So it was the second election after I was eligible to vote. They changed it, and it's a system that New Zealand stole from the Germans, actually. Well, took from the Germans. The Germans do it. And it's designed for governments that don't have a lot of check and balance systems. So, the American system has, the Senate and the Congress. I mean, the Brits have the House of Lords and the House of Commons. But us and the Brits too are only 2 of 3 countries that don't have a constitution. So we're quite unique in that respect.
Yeah, is it just us and Iran?
Israel.
Oh, is
Israel's the other one. Oh. I think it's Israel. Yeah, I think it's us, you, and Israel. Yeah, or it could be Iran. No, but I'm pretty certain it's Israel because they're quite new. And we have the system. So the whole point of the system is that you have the ability for smaller parties, a multi-party system, which is great for democracy because it means that you can have parties across all elements of the Overton window in the political spectrum. You can get lots of different voices in there on different things. You can have parties elected and have representation over a small element of policy, so you like for environmental or economic or what have you, and by having that, it then means in order to form a government, often you have to then create a coalition of all of these smaller parties, which means these smaller parties get a voice within governance, and it allows a check and balance system, so then no one gets too rampant. And the reason they brought it in is that we used to have a first past the post system, and we had a prime minister, one particular prime minister, who was very loose and free with government spending, and he was very, very fond of the whiskey, and he used to make some pretty out there decisions, and because he had a complete majority, he could just do whatever he wanted. So their thought was, as MMP, and we were so sold it because it was a referendum. So we were sold this concept that it would solve this problem, because there will be no party that would ever get big enough and strong enough to get 50% of the vote. And of course, that happened last election, didn't it? Because everybody was so grateful to Jacinda believing that she saved us from the scourge of COVID. When all she did, of course, I mean, I was always part in the camp of, no, you've just kicked the can down the road, darling. It's going to come back and bite us in the ass, and it has. So 50% of the vote, and now essentially for the last 2 years, we have a 3-year electoral cycle. For the last 2 years, we have been essentially in an elected dictatorship. And they can do whatever they want, and they don't have a coalition partner, which they did in the first term. I won't go into that because that's a whole other story. But she has what she has done to this country in the last 2 years has been terrifying, and it is totalitarianism with a capital T. But she believes she's been kind to everybody, and she has just completely ripped the absolute guts out of the country. And actually now the people have noticed.
The thing I've noticed about her, sorry, Maree.
Yeah, no, go Neil.
She's kind of, oh, sorry, we're all talking now. She's kind of terrifying because she's so sweet. Do you know what I mean? The outward thing is so, no, you know, we're only going to lock people. You know, you're going to be free as long as you do as we say. You know, yeah. Oh. Yeah. It's she's not getting away with that now. I mean, the whole sort of sweetness and light and empathy shtick that she has is worn very thin with people. So what's happened just in since the weekend here is that, of course, she's ideologically driven, and she is steeped with the same ideology, progressive ideology, which is infecting a number of governments around the world. I mean, it's rife in the Democratic Party in the US. I mean, Labour in England is full of it, and I have to admit a certain number of the Tories have jumped on board. Same here too. And COVID has kind of, you know, I've always seen COVID as an ideological Trojan horse. That a lot of this woke sort of neo-Marxist philosophy was able to ride on in unimpeded. It was let in, and because of
she's a World Economic Forum gal, isn't she?
Oh no, more than that. She was the head of the New Zealand Youth Communist Party. I mean, she's a dyed in the wool red communist, as our JC, Jacinda. I mean, she backs. If you were to ask her point blank, she will feign that question, like Jackie Chan. Like she will be phew. You know, she won't go there. But she is. Oh no, her roots are very communist. And that is undenied. And if you are to talk to all of her sycophantic little lovies, especially the ones in the media here, mainstream media here, you know, they all look at you like, but what's wrong with communism? You know, so that's where we're at. So anyhow, over the weekend here, one of the major media outlets put out a 30-minute documentary about the protests that we had here in February, which went for 3 weeks. Thousands and thousands of New Zealanders convoyed, inspired by the Canadians, convoyed to our parliament and literally set up an encampment in front of the parliament. And it was massive. And now look, it was a spectrum of people. We're going to get that sort of gathering of people. You're going to get everybody there. You're going to get absolute nut jobs. You're going to get people that are professional protesters. You're going to get hippies because this is a fun time. You're going to get people from both sides of the political spectrum. But actually a survey was done and they found most of the people were there who were actually from the left side of the political spectrum, not the right. But a lot of it were people that were mandated out of their jobs. good everyday Kiwis who had lost their jobs because they didn't want to take the COVID injection. And we had a really large blanket mandate here, which started in November and has still not lifted for some sectors. It's partially lifted now, but it forced hundreds of thousands of New Zealanders out of work because they refused to take the jab. So that protest, have done literally a 30-minute hit piece on the protest, on the protesters, literally trying to compare those protesters to fascists, to Nazis, to conspiracy theorists, to, I mean, the usual playbook.
Exactly the opposite, though. That's exactly
Tina, they need a mirror. That's what they need. They need a mirror because they've just talked about themselves.
That's a classic Darvo move. That's deny, attack, reverse victim offender. That's a narcissistic tactic, and that is
it's exactly And what's from a knitting perspective is the largest freedom movement here is founded by there's 3 women who founded it, 2 of which are involved in the knitting industry. So that is, they've sort of highlighted them. And the reason I found out about it is generally I block all this stuff out now. I mean, I've gotten to a point where I will say stuff quite freely. I mean, if they get hold of this, they'll have an absolute field day, as they always do. But they're preaching to their own converted now. And it's like, that's fine. Shop elsewhere, find somewhere else. I don't mind. If you want to go and shop with us, cool. You know what? There's a mat outside the door, and it says welcome. That's, by the way, that's my debut and my, that's the statement. Everyone comes in. I don't care. Your money's just as good as anybody else's. I really don't care. I mean, we just want to bring amazing yarn at incredible value to anybody that wants it. Full stop. Simple. So they have really jumped up and down about this documentary, particularly because these 2 women are involved. But in the documentary, they showed a clip of one of the founders on the Skeinz diaries with me. In fact, it was the quarantine diaries I discovered because I've interviewed this woman twice. And whilst I didn't say anything, my image was there. And of course, all the knitters know. I mean, you have to live under a rock in this country and not know who I am as a knitter. So they had my image there, and I was talking to her about crochet in the home because that's the hotbed of disinformation now. Crochet in the home.
There you go.
There you go. And so we've just been fielding a few grenades this week because those on that side of the spectrum in camp, and of course there's I don't know what it's like in the US, but the overlap between the absolute COVID absolutists and vaccine absolutists and the ideological left, let's put it this way, it's almost complete. It's, I reckon, a 90% crossover. So, so it's same shit, different day, really, down here.
Well,
so there you go, that's what I've been up to.
Same shit, different day. When you were talking then, I just heard Jacinda, Boris Johnson, Joe Biden, Angela Merkel, Justin Trudeau. I heard them all say in my head, "Build back better."
Oh, yeah,
every single one of them said it, and you have to think, right? Who told them all to say it? They didn't all come up with that individually.
See, I've been a bit out of the loop, Neil. Is Liz in yet or not?
Not
or are they
yet,
going to go with?
It won't be till September, but it's looking like it's going to be Liz.
It is looking like it's going to be
Liz Truss. For anyone who's wondering, the Prime Minister is likely to be Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak. But a few things have come out about Rishi Sunak that people don't like. And one of them is that there's a film of him from when he was very young and he was at a public school, which here means that he's very posh, and his father or his mother paid for his education. And he was saying, "Oh, I have some friends that are aristocrats," which means they're royalty, "and I have some friends that are working class." And his dad was there and looked at him and he went, "Oh, no, I don't have any friends that are working class," and then just carried on talking. And it's like, wow, you cannot be the Prime Minister of this country, for saying that when you were 15. It's just, so nobody likes him now because of that. But Liz Truss she's no better herself, so we're going to have a rubbish prime minister, whoever gets in.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, if the Brits want to know how someone like Rishi would turn out, they just need to pop up and look at Canada, don't they? Because I mean, Trudeau's got a pretty similar lineage to Rishi, so fun and games.
When's the election in America? It's 2023, isn't it? No, 2024, is it?
4.
Yeah.
But
So-
the midterms are November, aren't they?
The midterms are coming up this November.
Yeah,
and is that where you vote for your senators and your congressmen in the midterms?
Yeah.
So you don't
Some
vote
of
for
them,
your
not all of them. But yeah.
depending on when the terms are. Sometimes you'll vote for senators and congressmen at the same time as a presidential election, but it's mixed up. So so it's mostly
Yep.
depending
so,
on
Maree,
how long-
it's every 3 years in New Zealand. That's pretty
Yeah,
quick,
every
isn't
3.
it?
They've there has been talk of. Are you off to school, Lou? See you later, mate.
Clean the rice up.
One out the door. Right, good. Every 3 years there has been sort of uniform discussion across all parties about moving to 4, which I think the Australians have 4. To be fair, let's put it this way, I'm actually not opposed to 4 years. 4 years actually means that any government can get stuff done. I just could not imagine if she had 4 years this term. It would just be carnage. I mean, you've got to remember she's gone from more than 50% of the total vote only less than 2 years ago. To now, I think the latest numbers in the poll for her the other day was they were sitting on 36%.
And is it the same in New Zealand as it is here? We don't have term limits, so our prime ministers theoretically could get elected and elected forever.
Yeah. In my living lifetime, we haven't had one more than 9 years.
Right. I think
So
the longest
most
we
of them.
had was Margaret Thatcher. I think she got through 3 elections, so that would be 12 years.
12 years, yeah. The last prime minister which is how we ended up with Jacinda, he was going to the end of his 3rd term, and he would have the poll showed they would have given him a 4th term. He was incredibly popular. He was just right of centre, but to be fair, he hugged the centre like it was worth his life was worth everything. But he was a businessman. He didn't take a wage. The entire time he was prime minister, he donated his entire prime ministerial salary to charity. So he was independently wealthy. He did the job because that was always his goal, as he wanted to be New Zealand prime minister and make things better for New Zealanders.
Well, I know you're not Australian, obviously, but there's talk of the ex-Australian prime minister coming over to the UK to stand to become the prime minister of the UK because he was
Rudd?
Oh, what's he called? Before Gillard, Julia Gillard.
Who was before Gillard? They bounced around for a while. Rudd bounced in twice.
That doesn't. I can't think of his name. If you said it, I'd know it, but it isn't Rudd. Anyway, it doesn't really matter. But yeah, there was talk of him coming over, and I sort of laughed really because I thought, well, we obviously haven't got anybody good enough in our country, so we've got to go and get some from us overseas.
We do not have a deep bench. I'm sorry.
What's that, Anne? Sorry.
Oh, you don't have a deep bench. I'm sorry. But
they're all trying to out-woke each other in the UK. They've taken that American import, and boy, have they with it.
Yeah. How good is the Conservative opposition against Jacinda? Are they just sort of like? Well, you said that they're like barely catching up to maybe she's not so right. Is that kind of their own idea, I guess, or is that people are pushing so much that they might as well jump on that bandwagon?
Yeah, pretty. So the what concerned me about the major opposition party, which is sort of the centre-right party, they had when the leader left, this popular leader left, the chap that he put in charge, was a very, very capable guy, but he had the charisma of my left shoe. He was very earnest. He actually on election night, I mean, the election that Jacinda got in on, he secured 47% of the vote. She got 36 or something. But she managed to cobble together coalition partners that to form a government. So she, by and far, was not the people's choice. But that's the system we have. So they've gone through a number of leaders, and then they've now landed on this man who is the former head of our large airline. He's from the corporate world. So from a business perspective, he's very adept and understands sort of the dynamic nature of New Zealand business, because we're very small, so anything affects us. So he was quite a popular choice. He was a popular leader of this particular company. What ran my blood cold when he first ran to become an MP, which is in the last election, is in one of his speeches he gave, he used the fatal line, and in my lived experience,
oh no.
And I just froze, and I thought, oh no. And he's throwing
trigger
in.
You, Maree.
He did, and he's used a number of other terms, and I don't know whether he's deliberately put them in there as woke dog whistles, or he's actually got a speechwriter who believes that by putting these little phrases in his speeches that he's going to sound down with the kids. I really don't know, but either way, that sort of left me cold. During the COVID response, everybody was on board with Jacinda around how she responded to COVID. So to be honest with you, I can't completely squarely lay all of the evils of the COVID-19 response in this country at Jacinda's feet, because it isn't all hers. I mean, they may have been the architects of it, but she had completely bilateral, multi-party support across this, including the trampling of our Bill of Rights, putting in the passing of laws without any due process at all. I mean, a series of laws were passed here in November to put through incredibly divisive restrictions with absolutely zero due process to the New Zealand people. And it was so bad that 2 university professors here and Amnesty International both called out the New Zealand government and said, yeah, no, you're straying into tin pot dictatorship territory here, people. And we were. And Kiwis just went, yes, Jacinda's wonderful, she's saving us. And,
well, they are
yeah, and so it is really, I've been quite outspoken around all that stuff. And this documentary, this is one of the things about this documentary. They have now, these journalists have, and the journalist who made this, who fronted it, is exceptionally woke, is putting out the correlation that if you believe in freedom, you're a Nazi. Only Nazis believe in freedom.
Oh, that is exactly 1984, isn't it? War is peace, freedom is slavery. That is straight.
Yeah, exactly. And so this is sort of where this is the level where we've sunk. So in answer to your question, and do we have an opposition? They've finally now actually remembered who they are. Because these restrictions and laws are all still in place. And to be fair, the Omicron, I mean, it's a cold. I mean, it is a cold. They've got a vast majority of the country vaccinated. And we, up until just a few weeks ago, we had the highest rate of Omicron infection of any country in the world. You know, per 100,000 people.
Strictest lockdowns and strictest things, didn't you, going on there?
Exactly. And that's not even getting into the flu season here, which has been horrific. and everything else that goes along with it. So, I mean, it's quite fair to say, if you were to look at just the data, it's been an unmitigated disaster.
Well,
But of course, they want.
Also, not to mention, there is a new survey out. I think it's John Zogby, and it was 15% of people who are vaccinated have got a new diagnosis since they've been vaccinated. And the numbers split by people. It was like 30% of the 18 to 24. Yeah. And I mean, you know, you can get a diagnosis just naturally, but that is not a long period of time for you to get something serious.
We've got the highest death rates we've had in years now. Not when COVID was around, but it's now. And nobody is saying why. So
we had data was released yesterday, which and I mean, they've got this data from the Ministry of Health, and the excess mortality rate broke a new record in this country last week.
Wow. We all know why, but can't say.
So it is just really sad. And so the opposition now are starting to say, hey, actually, these restrictions, enough's enough. It's time to... Yeah, it's time that we, you know, sort of walked away from these, and they're starting to now push back. But it's the damage is done. I mean, our inflation is rolling at around late sevens, sort of 7.8, 7.9%. But we have a very, very low unemployment rate, and we don't have enough people to fill the jobs to keep things running. So we're in a really weird sort of place. So they're sort of toing and froing, but the two opposition parties, which are centre right and a little bit further off, well, it's still a centre right party, to be fair. The second party is a party based in business and a lot of what I call Austrian economic models. But, you know, look, anyone that's on Jacinda's camp, they may as well be running around in jackboots with swastikas. But they've used inflation. Like, COVID is that hot potato that you can't touch. They have done such a psyop job on people. They have scared them and are still scaring them to the effects of Omicron and COVID. And look, yes, have people been hurt and affected? Yeah, they have. And have people died? Yes, they have. But people die every year of flu and other causes, and more people are dying now, not because of Omicron, but because of everything else.
And nobody has caught flu for 2 years.
Nobody's caught flu. Yeah, where did the flu go? So they've got their situation now, and so they've now decided, okay, well, we're not going to push back on COVID because that's just too tough. But inflation, now there's a good one that we can do. And inflation, house prices, oil prices, like price of gas and everything else. So that's in cost. They're calling it the cost of living crisis here. So
we've got that as well. Yeah, they're doing the same. So what they're doing here now is they're throwing money at people. So if you're on benefits, you're getting a lot of money. They recently gave people £326, and they're going to give them another £326 in October for nothing. Plus, they gave them £150 towards their electric bills, and also they gave them £300 for something. I can't remember what that was for. And this is for people.
Probably.
Sorry, what's that, Am?
To fight inflation, probably.
Yeah, but the madness is, if you've got a job and you're on minimum wage, you don't get any of that. You know, so it's only to help people that don't actually necessarily need it because they're on benefits. They don't, you know, they already get money off their electric bill and things like that.
Okay.
Yeah, and then they're going to say that, you know, we're in a crisis and that we've got no money left. You know, and it's like, well, why are you throwing all this money at people? Don't do that. You know. Anyway.
But Neil, they want everybody to be dependent. That is their goal.
Yeah.
You don't want free thinkers. You want everybody to need the government to take care of them.
Well, 2030. In the UK, you'll no longer be able to have a new fuel-driven car. You've got to have an electric car. You can have an old car that is fuel, but you can't have a new one. And one thing I've noticed is everywhere you go, there's these hireable scooters. I don't know whether you've got them in your cities, where you link it to your phone and you can hire it, and all the kids are on them. I think that they're getting us ready to take away cars, and that everyone is going to have to hire their cars and use these apps on your phone to do it. And I think they're getting the younger generation ready, you know, and easing them into it, because the oldies like me, we'll be too far gone to understand it. But yeah, I think they're also going to start looking at people's properties. I think that's something that will happen as well, because they don't want people to own property anymore.
Aren't they trying to get you to stop farming in the UK too? They're like giving people money to not farm.
Yeah, well, this is something huge that's coming up, isn't it? There's going to be a massive problem with food production all around the world, and they're doing something deliberately to us for that.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think I saw the most ridiculous quote. Somebody said something like, "Farming is a luxury we just can't afford."
What?
Like, I'm sorry, where do you think food comes from?
Well, there's a big push to get rid of meat, isn't there? They don't want us to eat cows anymore. They don't want us to have cows' milk. They don't want us to have cows' meat. And I think there's definitely something about cows that they've got a problem with, you know, because they've been telling us for years that cow farts are causing the hole in the ozone layer, you know, and everything's being blamed on the poor cows.
Yeah, cows get a bad rap.
All of those farm equipments use petrol. They use either gasoline or diesel. So we live in a very rural area where there is cow farm is right down the road, you know, the dairy farm. So it's not unusual to just go buy half a cow for the season.
I would love to be able to do that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, me too. That's what I was just thinking. And my 9-year-old's obsessed with steak. If we had steak just like around, they would be the happiest kid on earth.
Oh yeah, my daughter too. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys love your beef, don't you? You really do in America.
Yes.
See, I'm not a beef eater, but you know what? I want to be able to decide whether or not I want to eat a steak. You know what I mean? I'm more of a chicken kind of person, but it doesn't mean once in a while I won't have it. And I don't want somebody else telling me that I need to eat bugs or plant-based meat instead.
Yes.
That's more my issue.
One of our supermarkets, Sainsbury's, this is a couple of years ago now, to be fair, so it isn't recently, but they started selling, instead of, you know, we talked about crisps and chips in bags, well, they were selling crickets, and they were in the same aisle as all the chips and the peanuts.
Disgusting.
No, thank you. Nope.
If you want to eat crickets, I will. I don't want to eat crickets, but if you want to eat crickets, I think you should be able to.
Yeah.
Don't tell me.
Free market.
Don't tell me that I have to.
Yeah.
Right. And,
you know, just like if I want to wear a mask, I'll wear a mask, but don't tell me that I have to.
Yeah.
You know, Lynn, last night my cat was eating a cricket that had gotten into her house, and I let her because that's her choice. But
absolutely.
And you said, I always knew you were for the World Economic Forum.
I was not going to eat the cricket with her, and that's the difference.
Well, you know what I saw yesterday on Twitter? Somebody posted a picture of some kind of snack they had bought, and it looked like maybe some kind of crisp or chip or whatever. And they had cricket flour in the ingredients, but it wasn't loudly advertised on the bag. So if you didn't read the ingredients, you wouldn't know that you were eating cricket flour.
Yeah,
well, isn't there
sustainable something on the front? Like, you are so good and virtuous right now. Eat your bugs.
Isn't there an ingredient that was in Coca-Cola or one of the big that's you know, like we were talking about fetus cells that were put into vaccines, but there have been human fetus cells put into some of our food. And I'm sure I read somewhere that it was either Coca-Cola or Pepsi. It was one of their ingredients. And if you look it up, it's real.
Don't make me look sideways at my can of Coke right there, Neil.
Yeah, if anyone's watching, if they could do a bit of a check on that'd be great. No, it wasn't aspartame. I can't think what it's called, but it has got a name. So if you look up baby fetus cells in our food, it might come up on an article somewhere.
That's interesting. I don't.
Starbucks had some bug ingredient. Oh well, what is it? The fake strawberry flavor is actually from
Beaver butt glands.
beaver
Yes.
penis glands.
I
Yes.
remember that.
Yeah, I remember that was a big deal. A lot of like fake vanilla too, and I was like, thank God I've always preferred chocolate because I don't need that.
You don't know what you're getting with the chocolate either, honey.
You know what? So we had a friend over, and she was talking about bologna was just meat slurry, and she just kept saying the words meat slurry, and I'm like, look, I know what bologna is, but can you stop saying that? Like,
This
we
You
don't
don't
have
want
to talk
meat?
about it.
meat slurry. Mm.
How
I
many
don't
of you
know,
drink
my
red
favorite.
wine? Do you all
What,
drink
Neil?
red wine?
No, my father used to make red wine though.
Occasionally.
Because there's
really.
a dye, a red dye, and it's called, it's in the comments here, cochinilla, I think it's called, or cochineal.
Cochineal.
Yeah.
Dead
that's it.
Mexican spiders.
Tasty.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yum.
Cenomix, that was it. Cenomix is the fetus cells.
Yeah.
Gross.
Just
So-
found that.
Thanks for looking that up, Morgan.
Yeah.
Thank you. Man, we've gotten heavy.
Yeah. So guys,
I've got a little book to show you.
What is it? Do I need to make you big? Let's see if I
Not
can make
really.
Neil.
Oh, if you want to, you can. It's a dictionary of color combinations, and it's from Japan, or well, originally from Japan. And all
Cool.
it is just colors that have been put together that apparently work. You know, if you use it on clothing or knitting or dyeing or whatever. And it's a nice little book, but it actually cost me £18. So I was expecting something a bit bigger. Because if you think
Wow.
this is another book that I got the other day, you know, it's only quite small. So, but I thought it might be interesting. I thought the dyers might like this because there's some
Were you the
combinations.
Were you the one that showed the color harmonies book?
No, but it was because of me talking about this that somebody did.
Okay,
can't
yeah, I got
remember
the
who it
color.
was.
I got that in the mail the other day, and it's just fascinating.
Because that's
Yeah.
really expensive, though, isn't it? That is it about $500 or something for that?
If it is, I didn't pay that.
Good for you.
I paid $20. But maybe I should sell it on the black market now.
One Bat of Doom. It was One Bat of Doom that had those color harmonies. Yeah.
well, and what I think is really cool about that book in particular is that, you know, just the smallest toe that I've dipped into Japanese culture, that is very much the part of being, you know, proper gentleman, gentlewoman, that your traditional outfit, your kimono or whatever you're wearing, that having the layers of that match in the correct color tones and the color tones for the season, that is very much an upper class etiquette people notice sort of a thing.
Yeah. So,
So
like,
getting your color combos right is, you know,
like this
considered very
one
clever
here,
and elegant of you.
personally, I would never put those colors. I'd probably put those two together, maybe the middle two, but I wouldn't put them all together. And I don't know whether that works.
See, isn't that interesting? To see, I buy ranges, so I would look at that book for me would be really useful. See, I look at those 4 colors and I would go, yep, those colors work. I also need to add a green into there. We've got the warm and the orange. I need probably a black or one other contrast. Do I want to, you know what I mean? So we
That'd be
often
like a starting point for you, wouldn't it? Then?
yeah, and it's about because when you pull a range together, you have to decide, do you want to have a tonal shift? Do you want to have a complementary shift? Is it a pure color or a clean color, or is it off tones or semitones? So we sort of move and it depends. I look a lot to Pantone fashion trends because Pantone set a color trend seasonally. They usually do. Oh, well, they usually do. Yeah, they do it seasonally, but they have a big release in spring and autumn and Northern Hemisphere. And those trends I find for hand knitting follow anywhere between, depending on how strong the colour is, anywhere between 6 and 18 months later, depending how they roll. Just out of interest, if you were to go back and have a look at the pen, I haven't actually checked it because they must be, it's August, they're due to announce one about now. Just recently, in recent years, the last 2 years, pretty much all the colours they've released in one of their colour of the season or what have you, happen to actually appear on a certain flag, like a soft pink and a soft lilac and a soft blue.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
A certain flag.
Is
and
that the same flag that Tom Daly wanted to have at the beginning of the Commonwealth Games by any chance?
Oh, see, I didn't watch any com games. Well, I didn't watch any com games at all.
I think so,
I
yes.
was.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's quite interesting. Yeah. Color is the Japanese. The Japanese, I think, have an understanding of color which is quite different to the Western.
Yes.
Ideal, and there is a harmony. I mean, if you've ever owned Noro yarns, there's a harmony with the Japanese, and they will always also look at color in the concept of negative and positive space, and they do it when they create the yarn as well. And they're the only people that do it, that create a yarn. Well, they did it. I think the originals to do it within a same yarn. You have different colors following in combination with a negative and positive color space. So using like black and white within the same yarn along with other colors, and I don't know how they do it, but it works.
Well, Lynn, I think one of the first things I ordered from Lynn was a mystery bag, I think, if I remember rightly. So I didn't know what I was going to get, and I got obviously they're beautiful yarns, but they didn't match to me. One was purple and one was like a taupe color or a light brown color, and I put them together and I thought, oh, I'd really like them separately, so I'm going to do something separately. Well, the interesting thing for me is when I look through this book, those two colors are in this book together. And I would never put those two colours together. So I am now going to try them together to see what it looks like joined. Somebody, Balar89080, wanted me to put a snapshot of this on Instagram. I will. I'll put the book on there for you so you can have a look. I bought some other books as well. If you want to see these, I'll do a bit of a slight book review.
Yeah, sure.
This is a book by two, I don't really can see at the bottom there, two people that live very close to me in a place called Colne, which is about an hour away from here. And they have a website called Woolly Thoughts. Unfortunately, the wife, who's called Pat, she died, I think, last year. And so Pat Ashford has died, but her husband, Steve Plummer, is still alive. And these two are geniuses. And they do a lot, or they did do a lot of illusion knitting things where they did... you'll know the name of it. I can't think. Is it where God and Adam are touching fingers? That really famous painting. Well, one of the illusion knits that they designed is that, and it's absolutely fantastic. Well, this one isn't illusion knits. This is based on number knitting, which is quite an old book that was published in 1952. And to try and get it now, it's well over £200-300, and even a PDF version of it is $70 to $80. And all it is just knitting in garter stitch, and it just teaches you how to. Sorry, I'm trying to find the page. Let me find a page first before I. It's teaching you how to knit certain shapes, so that you can then create, crazy designs, using the same shape. So these designs are all just modular, using the same square over and over again in different ways. And also they teach you how to create them so you can make garments with them as well. And the reason why I like this idea is I love doing mitre squares. You know, when I want to do something mindless that is not having to think, I do mitre squares over and over and over again. And I thought, well, I may as well try and make stuff with them. And so I've not read it yet, so I can't tell you whether it's really good or not. But the other books that I've read by them are really good. So,
no, but you really like the kind of complicated construction sort of thing with the when your squares are at different angles. You really thrive in that.
Well, it reminded me of the blanket that you knitted, Anne. I think there's.
The Prince quilt.
Yeah, was it the one that? And do you remember I did the British flag version of it?
Oh yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I didn't knit it, but I did the drawing.
Right, you sketched it up.
Yeah, and it's a little bit old-fashioned though, because some of the sweater designs in here, you kind of, I don't know, like they're not designs as such, but the what do you call these, schematics, aren't they? Rather than, I don't know whether that's old-fashioned or not. Really, I'm not particularly fashionable myself, so. But I love things like this because I really like Elizabeth Zimmerman as well. I love the crazy things that she used to do, and it's not because I want to necessarily knit all the things that they did, but I just like the idea of knitting those techniques.
Right.
Oh, so the other book I got. Sorry, I'm taking over now. So this is. I finally got all of the Elizabeth Zimmerman books because I do really like her, and I don't know why I left this one so long. But this is actually the best one of the lot so far. It's called Knitting Around, and the idea of this one is everything is knit in the round. So there's no purling or very, very little purling. And in it, not only are there patterns, and I've only read some parts of this, but there's a whole life story in there as well. And, you know, she was quite an interesting character, because she came from a very well-to-do family. They had servants in the 1920s and earlier. And then in 1930, she went to live in Germany and met her future husband there. And they were there right up until the breakout of the war. And there's even a whole section where she talks about how they escaped and how her husband escaped. And reading it, it was exactly like what is happening now with us, with the the knitters that are constantly saying, you don't fit in with us, therefore we can't talk to you anymore. And you're, and what the brown shirts were doing to them back then was what they're doing to us now. So this, I would recommend this just for the stories in it, because they're quite good. And some of the patterns are crazy, they're crazy and dated, but the techniques that she uses are genius. Absolutely. Like, for example, it's hideous. This is hideous.
Yes.
Yeah, none of us are necessarily going to want to wear that, but the construction of it is genius. It's a Mobius, like a Mobius scarf, and she's turned it into a waist jacket. But I think there's a picture of her husband wearing it, and he doesn't look very. There he is. He doesn't look very happy, really. But yeah, none of us are going to wear that. But I don't know. There might be an idea in something that she's done that'll trigger something in me, But yeah, so I've been busy reading and looking at those rather than knitting.
Well, that's cool. I mean, it's been too hot there, but I think we need to make sure that we don't forget to get our guests on the leaderboard today.
Yes.
Did Anne warn you?
She did warn me. She did warn me, and good. I suddenly, that's why I hit it, because I finished it's funny, Neil's talking about Zimmerman. I'm knitting Shoji by Nora Gon, and she has just recently done a whole big, she often goes down design sort of rabbit holes, and one she's been on at the moment has been around or sort of origami techniques and folding in fabrics. And Shoji is a piece that she did in collaboration with Brooklyn Tweed that is a folded cocoon cardigan. And I just finished knitting 2.54 meters of fabric last night, which I've got to fold today and seam to put the collar on. But I realized last night I haven't done this in years, and I can't believe I've done it. Because of course she's written it all in Imperial, and I'd converted to get the 2.54 meters, so that was fine. I'd done that, but and she'd put Imperialism and metric instructions all the way through, except for the beginning instruction where it said knit garter, knit whatever for 2 inches, and I read that as 2 centimeters.
Oh no.
But here's the good thing. I had a look at the picture and it folds round and it actually just makes a flap. And it's the edge here that makes a sort of flap at the back. Looked at that and I thought, well, actually, instead of having a 5 centimetre flap, I'm going to have a 2 centimetre flap. But they're both going to be exactly the same. And I have actually knitted 2.54 metres. So the length of the fabric is the length of the fabric that I need to have. So as long as both the beginning and the end are the same, I looked at it and I thought, I'm not going to worry about it. And it's double-stranded with mohair. So it's diffuse in terms of stitch anyway. But I realised that last night and I thought, well, there's no one, hell, I'm taking back 2.52 centimetres. And yeah, no.
Nope.
Especially not pulling apart mohair. You're like, nah.
Oh, I had to do it a couple of nights ago. It's sort of a 6-stitch repeat, and it's just two lots of 3 stitches mirrored. And anyway, I had put in an extra ribbing row and realised I went 2 rows up and realised I'd done that. So I had to take back those 2 rows. And taking back with my is a bitch. Oh yeah, it's not fun. Not fun. So okay, I think I've got enough cast on now. Let me just work a row. Hold on, I'll just check and then I'm sorted. But I went to go and do it before on a long tail and I've
Come
Are you
on,
going to do it for us, Lynn,
Lynn.
as well, or not?
Yeah, Lynn's gonna do it
Come
too.
on. Play the game.
We made
Lynn's
Carrie
gonna
do it. We made.
Lynn's gonna do
we're-
it too. Lynn's gonna do it too.
We got
What?
Carrie to do it. I mean, come on, you have to do it.
That poor,
Have to do anything.
your poor Carrie. I feel like we bullied her, and she's just like, nope. I gotta make
Like
this
you're
work.
bullying me.
Exactly.
Just like you're bullying me.
We
Yeah.
are horrible, awful yarn bullies,
Yes.
bullying people all over the internet.
Pretty much.
All
Making
what we- So what we do
Oh, I've got a timer if anybody wants me to time.
when they're ready, you may absolutely time because I don't have one. So
Ah, right, okay.
Are we almost ready? Are we ready?
9. No. Hold on, 9. I'm just.
she needs a minute.
Let me just cast on 11 more stitches because then I'll use this for a project. You see, so save me having to redo it.
What do you have hanging behind you, Tina?
Oh, this is actually from one of my favorite Etsy shops. It's a little kind of dream catcher sort of thingy. It's the shop is called Catch a Dream Treasures, and
Okay.
I have, I think, 4 of her pieces, actually. I've got 2 Halloween. Actually, I think all 3 of them, the other ones are Halloween. She does like these little, she's got like the little twig stars and she puts flowers and yarn on them and they're just so
fun.
much fun. Yeah, 2 of the Halloween ones used to light up. There's one with like some kind of orange LED lights wrapped around it. The other one had like a glowing something or other. I don't even remember. I don't know if I have to replace the batteries or something or how they work, but yeah, they don't light up anymore because I used to just have them on all the freaking time. They're just so cheerful. I mean, everything in her shop is wonderful. She does like earrings and bracelets too, and just like fun little whimsical stuff. Yeah.
That's cool. I think I
Did
remember
we
you
ever find
posting some of the
out, Tina,
Halloween.
who's screaming in the bathroom?
Huh?
Did you ever tell us who was screaming in the bathroom?
Oh, it was my cat.
Ah, right. Wasn't
It
sure.
It was really just my cat, I swear. And she was doing it a little before too. She just needs to know that I'm aware of her at all times. Like, she's so ridiculous.
Animals and kids,
Okay.
they're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, so jealous. The second you're doing something that is not like totally related to them, it's like, no, excuse me, hey, me over here. Me, pet me. I'm like,
Yeah, no, my little one was on my lap today. I'm like, look, I'm trying to type an email. Can you get off my lap so that I can type? And they were like, but I want to snuggle. And I'm like, I didn't say you had to leave. Just let me type for a second. Like, give me a minute.
Wombat said it was Shelley Duvall screaming in the bathroom.
Oh man.
Okay, I'm nearly there. I'm just knitting off this first row, so then that way I can, because the first row is a pig. We all know that.
Anissa
No,
says,
it's
I
not
assume it was not the dramatic potato, Anissa. But I am knitting dramatic potato socks. So there's that.
Nice. Oh, 2 at a time. Good for you.
Yeah, well, that's my
that's
favorite
clever.
method because, well, you avoid the second sock syndrome. So,
I get that. Yep.
and also you get the whole, you can be sure that they're the same length, and you don't have to count rows or measure or anything. So, yeah.
Is it the casting on of that that's the difficult bit?
It's not terrible. I mean, there's 2 different ways to do it. I do the
Fiddly.
figure 8 wrapped around the needles. It's not Judy's Magic Cast On. I think Judy's Magic Cast On would be better. I don't remember what this one's called, but on the second row, when you come back on the cast on, you have to knit through the back loops of the stitches. So, but once you get used to it, it's not so bad. But the thing that I'm doing with these socks, and I did it on because I'm going to be doing sock kits with Dramatic Potato too. So what I did with the Not Today Joy Eater is I alternated the toes and heels so people could see how they look both ways. Whether they want the red toe and the aqua heel or vice versa. So I'm doing the same thing with the Dramatic Potato socks. So they'll be mismatched so people can see, which way they might like it.
That's
and
cool.
Also, it's just fun to wear mismatched socks. It's like they match, but they don't match.
And who cares? They're jammed in your shoe. Right?
Until I take them out to show everybody.
Well, that too.
Hey,
I do want to get a pair of those, what are they, the clear Converse shoes? I thought those would be fun to wear. So
Yeah.
So you can actually see, yeah.
Yeah.
Because our socks are often the brightest and most fun yarns anyway, aren't they? And nobody sees them.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, blah 89080. I do the same thing. I knit the cuff on my DPNs first, and I'll knit about an inch, and then I'll transfer that to my long cord, and then I'll knit the second one. Yeah, and then so I'll do my cuff on DPNs, transfer it, do a second cuff on DPNs, transfer, and then I'll have 2 balls as I go.
I just can't get used to Magic Loop. I can do it, but I just don't like it.
I hate it.
Yeah, I
So
prefer DPNs.
awkward.
I love it.
It's like
I do too, Anne. I love it too. Yeah.
I think doing Magic Loop is like doing Intarsia. I feel like it's my first time in the whole world knitting, and I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't like that. But look, hey, guys, it became a stocking while we were sitting here.
Beautiful.
I got a Black Santa, but it's sewn together. So now it goes back to the mother, and she duplicate stitches the name on because I'm rubbish at that, and I haven't learned yet. So maybe another year. But stocking is ready.
Have you always used the word rubbish, or have you started to use that since meeting Neil?
I've always read a lot of British stuff and watched a lot of it, so I used it in honor of our international guest right now. But
well, I used the word trash the other day, and that is not an English word at all.
You've been hanging out with us too much now?
Yeah, it's worrying.
Next thing you know, you'll be saying things like hot garbage, and people will be like,
dumpster fire.
Yeah, because we don't have dumpsters either. So
how can you not have dumpsters?
We don't call them dumpsters. We call them skips.
It's just ridiculous.
No, we call them skips too.
Thank you.
No, this is nonsense.
Never.
I have it once a year. I have a thing I call a skip party, which is when I get a big jumbo skip in and I have a big clean up. I love it. It's very good. It's very exciting.
It sounds better than a dumpster party, doesn't it?
Why is it called a skip?
I don't know.
I don't know. No,
Okay.
it is.
You
have a mini skip and a jumbo skip, and
You hire them, don't you?
a half cider and a low cider.
Is it a brand? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Lynn, why is it called a dumpster? I mean,
Because you dump.
Because that's where you dump your stuff.
Yeah.
I guess
take
that
it
makes
to
more
the
sense.
dump. Right?
But
I mean, we
skip
take our
sounds nice,
stuff.
doesn't it? It's like you're skipping somewhere, you know.
We take our stuff, and we don't have an incinerator here, so we take it literally to the dump. Take our, yeah,
That's what my husband does every Saturday.
yeah. He goes to the dump.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
There you
You
go.
could also take a dump, but we won't go there. Okay, I'm ready.
Yeah, we do that in this country.
Yeah. Oh, good.
I would
I think
think
Maree
that's
does
the
it as well in
only
her
one.
country.
Oh my god.
Well, that confuses me too, though, because you're not taking it; you're giving it.
Right.
You're dropping
That's
it.
true.
I
You're
mean,
dropping it.
you're doing the opposite. So I don't.
So you should
I
be
don't
dropping a dump.
understand. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Dropping it.
All right. So anyway.
How can we always get onto this kind of thing?
You know, we
Anyway.
belong to a combination of linguistics and potty humor. Let's admit it.
Okay, so shall
Because
we do
at
this?
heart, we're all 12-year-old boys on the inside.
Absolutely.
Does that mean we're all trans except Neil?
But I'm a black woman, remember? So
Oh, I forgot. All right,
that's
we're
getting
fine.
really confusing, isn't it? Maybe I'm a trans.
I identify as trans slender.
I
Ooh.
do too. Yeah, I do.
That's a good one. Yeah. So, are we ready? Are we ready for the?
I'm
Tell
ready,
me when you want
baby.
me to start.
Okay,
Yeah,
Neil.
you two,
They're ready.
whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'll count you down to the starting point. Is everyone ready?
Yes.
I'm nervous. Yep. Go.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go.
Now the fun part where we can chat and distract them.
No, don't distract them. It was hard enough, and man, I think I gotta go continental because my numbers were low.
Same.
Well, I still think we should do a purling one just so I can redeem myself because I'm a fast purler because of doing, Portuguese.
Well, I'm a terrible purler, and if my numbers
Yay,
for knitting are
exactly.
any indication, you'll still have to go up against Tabitha, though.
That's true. But I think I might be able to hold my own in purling against Tabitha, I think. Famous last words.
Tabitha's a pick, though, isn't she?
She is, yes. Yeah.
She's lightning fast then.
Yeah.
She's what?
A picker.
How she gets through all your good yarns.
Yeah. See, I got to learn how to knit faster so I can make more things faster. Kind of a thing, you know?
Well, we'll have to at certain points. Wow. Stop.
Whoa, that was quick.
There we
Stop.
go.
That was quick, wasn't it?
Count your stitches.
I have my pen and pad ready.
I would have had more than 34 for the record if I didn't have to pull out my needle for Magic Loop, but I'm at 34, which is better than last time. I think last time I had 32. Yes.
Oh,
Or
good.
33, I think it might be. Yeah, so, yeah.
I'm
gonna say,
35.
35
For
for Maree.
you.
And Lynn?
Oh, I had 36. I did half of a loop. Half
So
of a
Tina
song.
34, Maree 35, and Lynn 36.
That is close.
That
It
is close.
I need to do it
Wow,
again
you
because
guys
I've got
are
to get up
like
from
on
31.
par.
I need to practice and get my numbers up too. So, because we had.
I need to
geez,
not
where
do
is
a magic loop. How's that?
it? Was this it?
That's it, yeah. So that means nobody has knocked anybody off the leaderboard yet. So we've still got Deplorable in bronze with 37, Anne in silver with 59, and Murdenitz Tabitha with gold at 68.
Crazy.
68. Sheesh.
I know.
Yeah, she does
I know.
twice as much as the rest of us. Isn't that crazy?
But that,
So-
that kind of makes sense with it because I always think to myself, how on earth does she get all that knitting done, plus the family, plus everything? You know what I mean? Like, I've been
Yep.
trying to figure it out, and now I know why. It's the efficiency.
Mhm.
I've got skills.
I mean, if you're going to do it well, I guess.
So I'm still the slowest sort of knitter because all the other people that have done it aren't knitters, are they? They're just people that have dabbled a little bit.
At
like
least
Kerry.
you're knitting. Some people don't even knit, right?
That's true, yeah. And someone's got to be last.
Be all gatekeepy about it.
I just it's because of my mum, you know.
So Neil, if you like purling, do you then do your work in the round inside out so you can purl?
Usually, yeah, and sometimes I have to adapt, you know, certain decreases and things like that to make sure it still works. But yeah, I like to do everything back to front, which is kind of good for things like Fair Isle. Not that I do Fair Isle very often, because it's on the outside, so you float.
Oh, you're doing your floating on the right side as opposed to the wrong side.
Yeah.
Like when you're knitting, you're floating facing you as opposed to carrying your floats facing away.
So the downside though is that you kind of have to double check the pattern. You know, when you look at your work to see that your pattern's right. That's the only downside. You can't always see it. But yeah, you can be very fast doing the purl because it is so simple to purl in Portuguese. It's very efficient. Oh, she's back.
So, and that's not your usual dog. Is this your European dog?
This is my European dog, yes. The sweetest girl in the European continent. And that's all the range she gets. But there is quite the lightning storm going on in Romania, land of the vampires, and she's pretty nervous about it. So she's all looking out the window.
So my piano teacher was from Transylvania. Isn't that cool? Yeah.
Yeah. But
that's in Romania, isn't it? Because you're not far from there, are you, Anne?
No, I took a day trip there, which was really cool. That was where they had the salt mines and everything. We didn't see any castles though, so.
Yeah. Well, if anybody knocks on your door tonight, don't let them in, because if a vampire is coming to get you, it will be in the middle of a giant lightning storm. So,
well, also it's weird here because everybody has a gate. Like everybody has a gate. Bella, get over yourself.
I thought that was the vampire then.
Yeah, well, it could be.
We've got some nude stuff going on. Did you see that?
I blocked them. Don't worry, I got it.
That was quick.
Here on the knitting site, cool.
What?
Yeah.
But anyways, that everyone's houses here, it's really weird that it's like everybody has a gate and the gate is almost always locked. So I don't know enough about the etiquette of like how do you just knock on the door and say delivery? Also, there's no mail in the village, which is really weird. Like they will call you up if they have a package to bring you, but there's not like a mailbox that you go to because apparently whoever was the mailman before quit and nobody wanted to replace it. So
wow,
like that's the weirdest thing I've ever heard. But yeah, stuff like that. So if a vampire knocks on my door, I'll be like, how do you get over the fence?
He flew.
Yeah,
he flew. Yeah.
I convinced my old boy to come and say hello just for you, Anne.
Oh, what's his name?
It was a big sigh. Yes, because he was snoring, but woken him up. Yeah. There you go.
I miss my bulldog so much.
You'll see her very soon.
I know.
When do you go back? When do you come back stateside? And
I fly out 6:30 Thursday morning for me, which means I leave here at 4. So that's gonna be fun. But yeah, that's the plan.
Yep. And I'm going to have to do the podcast without her this week, the regularly scheduled one. Yeah, I've got a guest coming, so.
Ooh, somebody fun?
Actually, she's a homeschooling expert.
Excellent.
And we've been trying to hook up with her for a while. We were supposed to have her the first week Anne was in Romania, and it didn't work out. So I'm pretty excited. And she asked me what I wanted to talk about, and I emailed her some of my ideas. And I said, my show has a political slant, so I have these certain things I want to talk about. And she goes, I'm excited to be on a show that has a political slant, because I think she has to stay pretty neutral. So I'm hoping it'll be a good time. We'll see. I'm sure it will be.
Is she a knitter?
No. I just listened to her book and I fell in love with her, and now I listen to her podcast. So
Oh,
She's the homeschooling guru I never knew I needed. So, anyway, that's a little peek of what we're going to have this week.
great.
But
Oh, and Wombat wants to know where's Rebel, Maree.
Oh, she's outside. She is outside. I could see if I could lure her in actually, because she's, well, I'm not sure whether the. Oh yeah, well I know she's been because that's how the rice ended up on the floor. Hold on.
Oh,
Renly, keep them entertained.
sure will. But yeah, I was talking a little bit before the show, like, oh, am I excited to get back to America? And it's this combination of, yes, can't wait to get back. I've had a great time here. It's going to be lovely. But it's this weird part of relief that there's something a little weird with my ticket. So once I get back, I'm like, oh no, I have to talk to an airline person. Oh, thank goodness they'll speak English. Like, all right, that'll be fine. I'll be good.
that's funny.
No, she's nowhere to be seen, Wombat. But I can do. You can have a. Can you see Rufus?
Oh, just his back leg. But he's here.
Yeah. He's.
So, do you have a job lined up yet, Anne?
I do not.
Anne is coming home. She is homeless. She is jobless.
I'm just romantic.
Well,
if
there's
we were
plenty
the
of jobs in New
leftist,
Zealand.
yeah, right.
You could stay in
I couldn't
Romania and be a
torture
nail
you that
person.
way, Anne. Gosh. So you're not, because you were in South Dakota, yes? South Dakota? Yeah. So you're going to go back to South Dakota, or you don't know?
That's the plan.
Yay.
But if we were lefties, Anne would post her Cash App right now so everybody could give her money because she doesn't have a job.
Yeah, don't worry, guys. I'm not there yet. But no, I also
I'll buy you
have
a
friend
coffee.
who wants me to visit her, so I might do that too. But
Yeah, she's going to visit her friend because if she visits her friend, that means that we're going to be 5 hours away. And I already told my husband, if she gets that close again, I am driving somewhere to meet her. So we're hoping for that part to happen.
So have you never actually met? Like,
Not in real
physically?
life, no.
Oh,
No.
Wow.
So I think it would be fun. I've always said that if I saw her with legs, I would probably just walk past her because I have no idea what she looks like. But
She may not have legs.
I may
I'm
not.
pretty sure she does. She talks about wearing
Don't-
pants and skirts, so
Don't assume. Don't assume
You're
that
right.
she does.
you're
That's
right.
a very ableist comment, Deplorable.
That is true.
Do any of us have legs?
What?
So do any of us have legs?
I
Well, we're
think that we
hitting
all live
an
in these
awful lot
boxes.
for that.
I like to keep them guessing.
Absolutely.
Too funny. I'm excited to have Anne back. Not that it hasn't, her being in Romania hasn't actually affected me, but, I used to text her a lot and I haven't been able to. Or just randomly call her. Calling her over the internet phone thing is not the same. So.
Wombat says we look like the Brady Bunch today.
We need 3 more boxes to be the Brady Bunch. But
And you have an offer to go to Oklahoma and help with ranching.
Wow.
Wow.
That's pretty good.
she's gotten a lot of strange job offers in the past few months. Didn't somebody want you to be a nanny and a secretary? And I feel like you told me
What would
about
be your dream
several.
job, Anne?
What?
What would be your dream job?
I'm not sure, which is part of my problem. Most of my actual job experience has been food related. But I don't know. I'm not opposed to leaving that. I just not sure which direction I would go to.
Well, I don't think we're going to have to worry about food for much longer at the rate things are going, so you might want to get out of the industry.
Oh
Exactly.
man,
break out of that market. Am I right, guys?
You might want to start experimenting with crickets.
Or, I was listening to a book about the Holocaust, unfortunately, and they were talking about people like bludgeoning pigeons out in the park and putting them in their stew pots. So you could start doing some rustic, like start a blog where you do that. Some rustic food prep there. Squirrels are abundant here in New York. I don't know how they are there, but
Squirrels do.
I know.
Good eating.
Yum. The person who wants you to work for him grows beef and lamb, so that would be a good place to be until they take it all, but at least for a while.
And you are just like a barrel of sunshine.
I mentioned before we.
I'm gonna die.
Yeah, and my mom's in the comments saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna die. That's why she's got to learn Intarsia." I mean, like I mentioned slightly before, it's been a week. I'm not in a bad mood. I've just had stuff. Stuff is happening, and apparently I'm not quite as.
Have you started back to school?
We did. We started yesterday, and actually, yesterday kind of sucked, but today was a lot better. But apparently, my husband has his period today, so I have been in a mood because I am married to him, and as much as I like him today, if he wasn't work from home, I wouldn't have been sad today. So that's all I know.
Get periods too,
They do.
They're called commas. They're every 3 months. Yep.
No, he gets his more than every 3 months.
Oh, okay.
He gets all Twitter pated, and I'm like, the kids were like, "Why is Daddy so upset?" I'm like, "Yeah, he'll be fine. Give him a day. He just needs a minute." So anyway, I love him. Don't get me wrong.
Does anybody in the chat have questions for us?
I don't know.
Oh, Ellie Mae says
tumbleweeds.
She's gonna shoot the squirrels for us, but I don't know how to skin them, so we still need help.
I don't either.
So here's funny someone else's story. So I know a gal who's from Wisconsin, and this is the most Wisconsin thing I have ever heard. That in her high school there was actually a taxidermy class, and she taxidermied a squirrel. And she's describing this to me, and she's like, but the thing is that I didn't get the chemicals right because it kind of rotted. But I had this squirrel, and it was like holding a giant piece of candy, and then I purposely made its eyes bug out, like, yeah, I got this candy. Like, that doesn't work. And squirrels are difficult to skin. That they tear really easy. And I'm listening to her like, what? Out there.
Hashtag taxidermy problems.
Exactly. I'm like, this is fascinating, but also, why?
But they used to teach gun, hunting class, or gun safety classes in school.
No more.
In the 50s. Yep.
No more.
Both guns and taxidermy are definitely a skill, and I respect those skills, but
they're not skills you personally have.
Speaking of school in the 50s, we just had a rerun of Grease, because Olivia Newton-John died. And I was watching it, and because I watched that at the cinema as well when I was too young to understand most of it. And for years, I thought that is exactly what America was like. So, whether I'm right or wrong, I don't know, but I thought that everybody drove at school. Because I didn't know then that you have the 16 to 18 and you drive at 16, do you? Is that right? And you learn at
depending
school.
on the state.
Yeah, it depends on the state.
But do you learn at school to drive?
Some people do.
It was the high school that I went to, because I had a year at high school in the US, it had a driver's ed class, and everyone, as soon as they turned 16, went into driver's ed.
I see. We have to pay for it after. I mean, we might get our free healthcare, but we have to pay for our driving license and stuff. But yeah, so Greece is exactly how I thought you all were.
I saw that in the movie theater also when it first came out. Yes.
Did you understand it all?
Of course not. I couldn't believe that, later that I couldn't, my cousin and I were talking. Her mom took her to go see it, and my brother took me. And, now we say, what were they thinking taking us to that movie? We didn't know what was going on. We didn't understand what the lyrics
My
meant.
mom told me that when she saw it in theaters, they actually covered up the lens during the part. That it was a little
funny.
down.
Yeah, because you've got the split condom scene, haven't you? You've got the scene where Rizzo says that she skipped a period, and when I watched it, I thought she meant she'd skipped a period, as in a period of class. Because I thought period was a time thing. I had no knowledge of what she was actually on about, and I didn't understand why everybody was gossiping about it because she'd missed a period of school.
Right.
But also, Grease Lightning, the song. Have you the lyrics to that?
Yeah, it's pretty awful. It's because I had actually been thinking about watching that with my kids. Cause I'm like, oh, it's a okay movie, and then I started thinking about it, and I'm like, oh my god, no! What was I thinking? Oh my gosh. But well,
it's funny because my mum took me to see Grease, and I was never allowed to go and see any Disney films. So no idea why, but I was never allowed to see any of them. So I never saw any of them until The Lion King when I was an adult, and I started to catch up on them. And I still to this day think what was going on that she took me to Greece, but she was, I don't mean the country, I mean the film, but she was worried about me seeing Bambi.
I don't get that.
My mom was kind of the same way. She would have, I only lived with her until I was 6, but she would, she'd play like horror movies all the time, or like, I thought Freddy Krueger was the tits, and couldn't watch Mr. Rogers because she said my brain would rot. So, yeah.
That's funny. Now I understand the whole not letting your kids watch Disney. I made the mistake of watching Turning Red when that movie came out, about the panda. Oh my god. I had no idea that Turning Red was a euphemism for getting your period, for one. And so I was like so surprised. And then I'm like, oh my god, I hope my kids don't ask about this because I don't want to talk about this. I do not want Disney explaining this to my kids. Like, but back in the day, I wouldn't have been that worried about it. I don't know. But what you think, Anne?
Well, we are getting to be, we're at the 2-hour mark.
Wow.
And I know that girl is tired. It's late there.
Well,
Is it late there?
It's 11 at night.
Oh, it's not terrible. I was thinking it was later than that. Yeah, we're represented everywhere. It's almost tomorrow for Anne. It's already tomorrow for Maree. Thanks for getting up at the crack of dawn and joining us. We appreciate it.
I'm sorry I got my days wrong. I know. I was thinking, I'm hopeless. And I've been because this is the one day I work from home. So this is actually the better day for me to be doing this. But it's just been so bonkers here, because it's the middle of winter here. So, it's actually we're heading out of winter now, but.
So it's peak knitting season for you.
Exactly. It's yarn Christmas, as I like to call it. And so we are heading into, this month is a huge month of promotional activity, and we have got another sale starting this time next week. So, it's just sort of up to my eyeballs and all of that. That's all right. It's all good. It's what we do.
Anything you want to promote with your big sale?
Pardon?
Anything you want to promote with your big sale?
Oh, what's happening with the big sale? There's new yarns, actually. It's funny, we were talking about the colours earlier. We've got a new yarn coming out called Roving, and it's a single roving DK, and it's just literally just a 100% wool, everyday, double knit. You could stretch it out to a 10 ply, single roving, and it's in a series of colour, a really rich but restful colour palette, and they're all sort of colours that represent sort of favourite places that we have around New Zealand, and it's I've got the colours. I had to pull all the colours out. There's one missing, which hopefully the girls will grab today to go to the photographer, and they just look amazing. So they are coming out, and it's going to be like really incredible, like $5.95 a ball, New Zealand.
Is it the kind of yarn that you can just break apart, or is it more
if you want to do, we do put a little slight amount of twist on it,
kind of like
so it would
yarn.
No, we've actually tried to make consistent. So we haven't done a slubby, we haven't done thick or thin. We've tried to sort of keep it quite sort of consistent, so when you knit it you get this really lovely homogeneous stocking stitch fabric, because there's no plying or twisting to actually break that up, and it would just it's so we haven't done a yarn like this for at least 7 years, 6 or 7 years. So we've got that coming out, which is fun. We've got some really gorgeous dips coming. I mean, this is one of the dips. This one's just going to be in the shop because we haven't got a lot of that one, but we've got a whole heap of those. There will be ones online. We've got what else? If you guys like thicker, chunky 14 ply yarn, there's some really nice 14 ply yarn. And some neat colours, and so there's just a whole bunch of lots of stuff that's not core range, which I really like because it's different and it's interesting and it's new and we've not had it and it's fun and
cool.
And there's Puss.
This is North Star.
North Star.
This is the one that can't bear to be away from me. Wherever I am, he has to be looking at me.
Stage 5 clanger. I got one of those.
Yeah, there's a chair next to me here now. He's sat on it, so you know.
See, I've got Rebel, and she's outside prowling. She's. I thought she might come back, and I had a look, but she's like, no, I've got things to do.
Neil, are you going to put out the? Oh, there you go, Neil.
Oh, the shawl pattern. Yes, I am. I'm actually writing it at the moment. And the reason why I've not sent it for test knitting yet is that there's one particular part, there's one row that is really complicated to put in words. It's really easy to do, but I just can't quite get the words right for that one row. It's right in the middle of the shawl, which is sort of the centre point. But yeah, I've washed it and blocked it, and I'll be putting it out as soon as I can. So it's just a case of getting this. I might ask some of you guys to actually test this one row if you understand it. Yeah, but yeah, it's coming out at some point.
Cool.
Good.
And I've nearly finished the sweater as well. All I've got to do is sew the sleeves. So because it's so hot, I just can't even be bothered picking it up and sewing it. So that probably will be ready next time we do one of these. If I'm on it,
Great.
It might be earlier than normal, mightn't it?
Very cool. All right, guys.
Keep the same time, Amy and Anne. Are you going to or DK and Anne? Are you going to keep the same time?
We're not sure what's going to happen. We're not sure. We'll see.
Okay.
Once
I can
Anne's
do a
back
lot
in the
later, by
States-
the way. So if this time now is okay, or even an hour later, I could still do that. But after that, I'll be out of it.
Yeah. Well, once Anne's back in the States and we know what she's doing with a job and travel and whatever, we'll make a decision. But as of now, I think we're just going to plan on doing it at this time of day, see what happens for a little bit longer, at least through the month of August. So, yeah. All right. Well, guys, I think we're going to head out. But thanks for joining us. We'll check y'all later. All right.
This was a
Thank you.
blast.
Bye.